Good afternoon. Welcome to a message on gossiping. We started out yesterday reading from the book of Galatians, and we said we'd focus on some of the lust of the flesh this week. We're going to read again Galatians 5, and that's going to be, I got the wrong glasses. Change that around. Oh, okay. Galatians 5, and we're going to read from 18 to 21. If you'd like to open your Bibles, we'd love to have you share this with us. But if ye be led of the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revellings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Need to read that every day to keep us all from doing those things. So today our lesson is very short. It's about gossip. Gossip. How many of you gossip? Talk about other people, tell untruths, try to create situations in other people's lives, try to keep people from liking people you don't like in such a way that you have become very harmful to others. So the question today is, what is gossip? Gossip is a verbal message passed from one person on to another, is more often than not distorted by the process. Back in the day when we had showers for girls getting married and mothers having babies, this was one of the games that was played in a circle with a group of women. Somebody would say something in someone's ear one time to one person. That person had to look over and say the same thing, and it went around a circle until it got to the end of the circle. At the end of the circle, it never was anything like what was said at the beginning of the circle. The woman could have started out saying, "Oh, I love red hair." And at the end, it may say, "That girl is a dare." So it could end up being anything, which was false, which was not true, what it started out to be. In the end, a message transferred via gossip is not usually an accurate representation of the facts. You see, I can tell a neighbor up the street something, they can start spreading it around the neighborhood, and by the time it gets back to the one that they're saying something about, it's very hurtful, it's untrue, or something that just doesn't make sense at all. Facts distorted by gossip can be destructive. Gossiping is dangerous social behavior that needs to be avoided. Gossip needs to be avoided. Gossiping can be harmful, and we need to learn how it can be and should be avoided. You must not gossip. You can't do it. It's too hurtful. It's harmful, and it can harm you as well, as we'll find out. You know the old saying, if you cannot say something good or nice about someone, don't say anything at all. Learn not to move the tongue. Learn not to say anything about people. 1 Timothy 5:13 says, "And besides, they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but also gossips and busybodies, saying things which they ought not, roaming from house to house and saying things that causes them to be gossips and busybodies. My daddy called them biddies because he referred to women in that way sometime, which is not right. Who wants to be called a gossip? Who wants to be known as a busybody into everything? Saying things which they ought not. Now, what is gossip? What is it? You are gossiping when you tell other unkind things about someone. When you say things that are unkind. Did you know? Did you hear? Have you seen? Those are unkind. And usually behind that is something negative. Gossiping is also when you tell untrue things about someone. Just totally lie. Telling untruthful things about people. That man wasn't married when he was in his 40s or 50s. I wonder if he's, Or that lady had a gentleman friend over in her driveway. Reckon she's, just those little comments that you or I can make can destroy a life. Absolutely destroy a life. Gossip can destroy. But gossip will also destroy you too. So it says here that, and I'm losing my papers here. Gossiping about others can make them feel bad about themselves. When people gossip about other people and they find out about it, they begin to feel bad about themselves. It's embarrassing. There's hardly no way you can take it back. People put things on what we call social media now. We didn't have that in my day. They just had the flapping tongues. And we didn't have any phones back in my day either. So women got together in different ways. And they let them fly. They let it fly. So, and men too. I've worked with a group of men, and I've worked with a group of women, and one's just as bad as the other to gossip. Gossiping about people and the things you say may cause others to treat them unkindly. Who wants to be responsible for telling something on someone that will later on down the road cause people to treat them unkindly? That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to love everyone as a Christian. If you're not a Christian, you can become one, but being a Christian or not, you shouldn't be gossiping about people that could cause harm to them or make other people feel that treat them unkindly in any way. Gossiping can also hurt you. If you say unkind things about other people, then people might think you are unkind. To me, you're unkind already if you're talking about anyone in an unfavorable way. Or if you're trying to talk to other people and get them to not think of people a certain way, let them make a decision. You want to make it for them and say, you can't have anything to do with that person because. You don't need to hang out with that person because. And they're supposed to listen to you, so you think. Don't you know? That's not your concern. Every person needs to have the right to look at other people in the way they want to and make their own choices of who that person is. Of course, as a Christian, we're supposed to love everybody. We're supposed to be kind to everybody. We're never supposed to say false statements or untruths about anyone. They might not like you in the end because you're the one spreading the tales. You're the one saying, I didn't like what that teacher taught on this morning. I don't like the way she leads. Or I don't like the way the youth leader does. He doesn't do enough for our kids, or she doesn't do enough for our kids. That's gossiping. That's pure out gossiping. You should be praying for them. If you don't like your preacher, don't kick him out. Pray for him. Let the Lord take care of him. If you don't like your teacher, pray for them. You don't gossip about them, you pray for them. They might not want to be with you. There's people that just hear enough of that junk, gossiping, busybodies, and eventually they'll stay away from you. You'll be the lonely one because you talk too much. And it's a negative thing. It's always negative. They might think you are dishonest if what you say is not true. And unfortunately, when you get into the gossiping habit and into the busybody habit, lies can fly. Untruths can fly. I don't know if people's trying to impress somebody with that. It certainly doesn't impress God. And eventually it might not impress anybody around you because they think you're dishonest for telling untruths. They might not trust you anymore. Who doesn't want to be trusted? For people to believe the good things that you say. And if you're always saying bad things and gossiping and being a busybody and talking about other people, then people may not trust you, especially when they find out some of that you're spreading around is not true. They won't trust you. They might not believe anything you say. They might not believe anything you say. And that's not a good character trait. And that's not a good personality trait to grow up with and to become an adult and just not have a friend at all because you talk too much. Do not gossip at all, not even the people you don't know very well. Don't gossip about people you don't know. New people that comes into your workplace, new teachers that come into your school, new preachers that come into your church, new Sunday school teachers. Where are your workforce? Don't talk about anybody. The people you do know, do not talk about the people you don't know. Except people. You may have heard some horrible things about their past. There's people that's got past. We've all got past. But we need to be careful how we treat people. It's not their past that counts. It's their asking the Lord to forgive them and doing better every day. Now, do not gossip at all, not even over the people that you don't know very well. Instead to the people you don't know very well, try to introduce yourself. Get to know them. Get to know them to be kind to them. Be kind to them. Everybody likes kindness. You know the old song, show a little kindness? Treat people the way you want to be treated. Go home crying and you're saying to yourself, they talked about me. Children do this a lot when they're made fun of in school. I don't know where the parents are that's teaching some of these children, but you need to stop it. And some of these children are learning it honest because they're learning it from their parents. Treat people the way you want to be treated. If you want people to treat you kindly, you treat people kindly. If you do not want people to gossip about you, do not gossip about them. Just don't gossip. Do not gossip. Learn to bridle your tongue. Always remember, do not gossip. Do not gossip about any person, ever. Seek Christ if you have a habit of gossiping. Seek Christ. Some people can't wait to get home from work, get on the phone and start calling their little group. Some people can't wait to get home from the hospital, start calling to tell what happened and who it happened to, and did you know so-and-so was doing this? Or some people can't wait to get home from church just to talk about people in the church and gossip. Seek Christ to be stronger and lose this habit. It's a terrible habit. That's not love, talking about people. Focus on Christ and the things about Him. Focus on Christ. Just look up to Him all the time. Press toward the mark of getting into heaven. That's more important than anything today. It's pressing toward the mark to get into heaven. Some people may ask you questions, leading questions. There's people good at that. They're manipulators. They get you to talk when you normally wouldn't talk. If you've got a family member or a coworker or a preacher or a teacher or a hospital staff or whatever you do in your life that comes up and says, "How you doing today? Have you heard from so-and-so? Did you hear?" It's time to stop the conversation right there, because they're asking you leading questions to get you to speak about other people. Here are some ways to avoid gossip. The first one is explain you would rather not answer questions about others. If they ask you, I'll just throw a name out there. If they ask you about Gertrude, a leading question, you could say, "Hey, you know what? I'd rather not talk about Gertrude, but if you need to know something about Gertrude, you might want to go ask her yourself." In a kind way, of course. Number 2, suggest going to another subject and talk about something else, not people. How about the procedure done in the hospital that day? How about a new class starting in school? How about the word in church? Can you speak on the word, or is it just you only know how to gossip? Can you carry on a conversation about a scripture the pastor preached on without talking about the pastor? Number 3, don't listen to others who want to say unkind and untrue things about other people. Just don't listen. If they won't respond to your "I'd rather not talk about them," walk away. Let them talk to the trees. Let them talk to the wind. Just leave them standing there with their mouths gaped open. Number 4, do not ask questions that will cause them to gossip. You don't do it either. If they're master manipulators and leading questioners, don't you be the same. Don't just try to think up something to say about somebody just to hear the garbage or just to hear gossip. Don't do that. Don't even put people in a position that they would talk because you're good at manipulating or get them to answer a leading question. I don't care who you are. Counselors shouldn't do it. Psychiatrists, psychologists shouldn't do it to other people. That's their job to figure it out. Preachers shouldn't ask any church member anything that would lead that church member to say something negative about another person. Number 5, do not listen to people who want to gossip. Just don't listen. You don't gossip and you don't listen to it. If you lose a friend over gossiping, they're not a friend to begin with. They need to listen and try to change. Number 6, tell them kindly you do not want to gossip or talk about the people. Just tell them very kindly, "Hey, I appreciate you asking me that, but I prefer not to talk about anybody." And if they insist, if you need to know something about Gertrude, go ask you yourself. And if they continue to insist, walk away and leave them talking to themselves. And number 7, if they continue, walk away. Just walk away. And a very normal gesture of walking away. They'll get the point. They'll get the drift, if you understand what I mean. Now, you cannot retaliate against someone who is a gossiper and you're not. You will feel hurt or angry when people gossip about you. And in return, sometimes people want to get back at them. They have vengeance against them. You might want to gossip about them, but do not. A lot of people are very vindictive. The true side of people comes out when it's about themselves. They can talk all they want, but when you stand up to them, you stand up in what you believe, be ready for the retaliation or for their vengeance to pour down on you. Because people can be mean sometimes. If someone talks to you and says, I would like to ask you some questions about so-and-so, I haven't heard this, walk away. If they get mad at you and they try to retaliate or become vindictive toward you, they've got the problem. They need to seek God immediately. We hear the storm weathermen say, seek shelter immediately. We need to seek shelter under the hand of the Almighty. When people gossip about you, don't gossip about them. If people gossip about you, don't try to stir something up and keep it going. I'll get back at them. I've known people to get so upset about their children in school because they didn't believe anything that they ever did anything wrong. Oh, yeah, they do. Sometimes they're sneaky. I can tell you some stories about my family. You'll laugh about it now, but it wasn't funny back then. There's a lot can happen in a family that moms and dads just do not know about. We're going to close this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. So just don't talk about it. But when they do talk about it, don't gossip. Instead, here's some things you can do. Talk to them kindly. Ask them to stop gossiping about you. This is about you now. If you hear somebody that said something negative about you, stop and kindly ask them to stop. If that doesn't work, I am truly sorry about that. If that doesn't work, try to work out your problems together. You may need to seek help from a pastor or a Christian counselor. And I don't see a problem if you may feel different about this. This is my opinion. But if there's somebody in the church that's really causing you harm or causing you to feel bad about yourself, you shouldn't be going to everybody else in the church and telling that. That's gossiping. Go to your pastor and seek his advice. I'm just a big believer in using your pastor for things like that. If you know they're directly citing you or directly coming after you, your reputation could be harmed, your character could be harmed, you need to go to your pastor and ask him what to do, seek his advice. He may call a counseling session with the two parties involved. That would be up to him. Don't gossip. If you've got that habit, seek Christ. Something's not right if you're gossiping about other people, family, church, school, workplace. Stop it. Just stop it. Quit hurting other people before you hurt yourself. Even worse. I hope you have a good afternoon. I really do. So until next time, pray that God will touch your heart if you have that habit of gossiping, that you'll be able to turn it over to Him and it goes away. You have no desire to ever do that again. So, until next time, God bless you and God bless your family.